Welcome to the SoccerGeeks podcast, hosted by Jason Barbato.
Hey everybody, welcome to the SoccerGeeks podcast, episode number 4. I'm your host, Jason Barbato, along here with our producer extraordinaire, Mrs. Marissa Cali. How you doing, Marissa?
I'm well, a little under the weather, but we don't believe it's the cron, as they say.
Yeah.
So
You're not dealing with any Autobots or Decepticons. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of Tennessee, the weather being 70 degrees one day, 25 degrees the next. It's just,
Right.
it's just your body doing this stuff that it does when the weather changes and it's crazy. So, but
Exactly.
We're glad to see you here. So thanks for being here. Thanks for braving through, not feeling great. How are all things in the world of soccer for you, Marissa?
Well, I mean, we won't go too into it, but I'm a huge Arsenal fan, so I'm sad we didn't play Thursday, but hopefully it will be. By the time people listen to this, well, it was COVID. Liverpool had COVID, so
okay, gotcha.
But by the time we listen to this, hopefully, or when the public listens to it, I'll either be sad or happy about the outcome of that EFL. I don't know, so many cup games.
We only got 2 options.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, it's AFCON is starting, and I got the one African nation jersey that I have that I own with some friends sent to me from Uganda. And so even though they're not playing in it, showing support to a massive tournament in a continent on this earth that loves the game. So really excited to watch that tournament with the family over the next few weeks and looking for some really great passion on the soccer field. So I'm excited about that. Awesome. Outside of that, I am ecstatic to talk about literally one of my favorite, not only people in the world, but one of my favorite players in the world today on today's show. So super excited for the conversation we're going to get into today and hear about his experience as a budding professional. So welcome to the show, Mr. Miguel Berry. How are you, Miguel?
Enjoy.
Doing well. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man. Me. Absolutely. Who better to have on this show than you, buddy? Obviously been a long time supporter of your career and all of your endeavors, both on and off the field. And so, it just fills me with so much pride to see everything that you're accomplishing week in and week out. Tell me a little bit about, you were sharing a little bit earlier that you had some training going on. So can you kind of just walk us through what that looks like? We're like you said, about a week away from, training camp officially starting. So what does this dark period look like for a professional player in the MLS right now?
Just getting ready for preseason. Preseason's a grind, 2 sessions a day. So it's just getting your body ready in the gym, using the training facilities for the gym, on the field, getting some runs in, just getting your body back so you're not, going 100 miles an hour right away and getting hurt. So,
sure.
Obviously it's grueling, but it's, you're excited because obviously in 2 weeks you're playing games again. So we're really excited already. We got our schedule. I don't know if I'm allowed to say who we're playing, but we want to play, and it's exciting. Yeah. So can't wait for games. Obviously, games are why you play.
So going into this now being your third camp along this basically your third training camp, right? What have you learned over the last 2 years that have kind of helped you onboard this one? You left last season on a pretty high note. How are you what are you kind of preparing for to kind of keep that trajectory going for yourself?
For me, it's really just preparing physically so that, the work that you do physically, you're ready for. And so then you can, push on technically and tactically and kind of, if you do the physical work, the rest of it comes easier. So it's being ready physically, but also not overdoing it, because you don't want to, get injured week 1 in preseason. That's the worst thing. Then you're 3-4 weeks behind. So, right. For me, that's all it is. And I think I'm probably more relaxed going into this one than the last 2. So that's probably a good thing.
How does outside of just basic, eating right, sleeping right, not going out, being smart, staying in, getting in the gym, getting your runs in and things like that, outside of just the physical component of it, can you talk a little bit about maybe the mental preparation or even some of the video preparation that you might be applying going into this coming season? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, this offseason, I rewatched every single game I played in. Just to see, for me, it was almost to see the progression. You almost see things a different way. And obviously, when you watch yourself, I think for me, I find it helpful in that I feel like you realize, you always have more time than you think, especially, in the game, everything happens 1,000 miles an hour. But, and I think, also to see your own progression gives you confidence as well. And I think for me, that was, key thing. It was fun as well. And, on the mental side of things, just staying relaxed, obviously you're a human being before you're a soccer player. So taking care of yourself that way as well. So that's always important.
How much did the text messages at halftime from your buddy Jason help?
Well, you know what? I couldn't actually see any of them until after, but I feel like
Smart.
I knew
Good.
they were
That's
there.
a way not to get fined by coach.
It always supported. Yeah, that's why I think I had quite a few second half goals. That's probably why too.
Yeah, that helps. That helps. As you went back and you looked at the film about yourself, as you watched yourself on film, and like you said, you saw progression through the course of the season. What are some things that you saw for yourself that you have a lot of confidence in, that is real exciting for you? Like, what gets you excited about seeing you on film? Like when you're kind of like you're in your lane, like you're operating in a place where you are just like, you're super focused and dialed in. Where do you feel that's kind of best for you?
I think, especially in like the last 4 or 5 games I played, I think you could see me starting to understand, my teammates a little bit better, and seeing what they were going to do before maybe I wouldn't have known as well. And by then it was just second nature. I knew what they're going to do. I could anticipate them, and that gives you more time on the ball, gives you a bigger chance on goal. You form relationships. They got to know me as well, and I think that was the most exciting thing. And also going into obviously year 3 with a lot of the same guys, it's going to be exciting because at this point I think they know me a lot better than they did, and I know them a lot better than I did. So it's exciting. I think there's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, what partnerships do you see really growing for you? I mean, obviously Zella Ryan's there, and the better he knows you, that only means great additions in your stats, because he's such a wizard on the field. But what partnerships do you kind of see like flourishing? Like, is there even a really good partnership with you and Gyasi, or is it really, is it coming more from the midfield and things like that? Is it that tactical awareness and understanding with the coaching staff? Like, where do you kind of see those things growing for you?
I think it's a bit of everything. And I think if obviously Gyasi and I haven't really gotten a chance to play together much, but I think there would be an understanding there. I think we train together all the time, and I think when you do forward things, you're always together in the forwards. I understand him probably better than most people I haven't played with. But for me also, it's we signed Steven Moreira late in the season to play right back, and he's someone who loves to bomb forward. I haven't gotten to play with him a whole lot because he pretty much came in when I came in, if not a bit after. So that's something I'm excited for. And obviously, when Kevin Molino comes back from injury, and we just signed, another dynamic winger. So I love seeing that. But it's really all over the field, and like you said, with the coaches as well. So there's no like one answer to that question, probably.
Sure. Looking back for you when you were drafted in the MLS, you went first round. You were the 6th pick, correct?
7th.
6th pick,
but I appreciate the little bump
7th
there.
pick for yeah, dude. Of course, I always get you that
7th,
bump.
yeah.
So pick 7th overall. In the draft a few years back, and obviously coming out of college, playing here at USD locally in San Diego. You made the choice to go in the MLS draft and not go, in the USL or anything along those lines. And so at some point in time, you needed to have good representation and find an agent and things like that you felt would kind of represent kind of your interests, and hopefully, help you make the most out of your opportunities that you had as a professional. Can you kind of talk about that process? Were you approached by an agency? Did you approach an agent? Did MLS connect you on the level? Can you kind of talk a little bit to our audience about what that process was for you?
So I was put in touch really after my college season, where I had quite a good season. I was put in touch with several agents. I probably 5, 6, 7, and then more reached out. And I think every day on Instagram I had a different agent, reaching out, trying to bring me to Uzbekistan or Eastern Europe somewhere. It's always something.
Sure.
But I got to know my agent through my coach in college, Mike Nicholson, who put me in touch with him. And after the season, for me, he's the only one I really met personally, and I think for me that was a big deal. I know he came and watched me a couple times, and I'm very much someone who relies on trust, and I think for me that was the most important thing. So at the time it was a smaller agency. The agency has grown massively now, but relative to other agencies like Wasserman and this and that, and for me it was more about having someone to take care of the personal side of things, someone who when I call would answer. And I know that's not commonplace everywhere else unless you're a big player. And that was
Right.
what I prioritized. But it was I was lucky enough to to have a connection that way, and we kind of hit it off, and it's been great ever since. So.
And what does that kind of communication look like? I mean, do you hop on the phone like with a weekly call, a monthly call? Kind of he only checks in when he needs you to sign off on something. Kind of what does that continual client care kind of look like from an agent standpoint?
I think it's different for everyone, and I think everyone has different needs, and I would like to see myself as a pretty low maintenance kind of guy. Relative to that. But, there's been times where we've called twice a day for a week because things are happening or we haven't, talked in 2 or 3 weeks. And I think either way is fine. And, he watches all my games, and whether it's, watching him back, this or that, he provides feedback as well. And, he's the one who talks to the front office, which is perfect because, you don't want, as a player, you don't want to be the one dealing with that stuff because it could cause internal, trouble and this and that. And,
yeah,
that's what they're there to do. They're there to represent you. So, I think it really depends on the time. But for the most part, I'm a pretty low maintenance guy. But I'm pretty sure,
sure.
You have to work the relationship out yourself too. So yeah,
that's pretty awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. Where are you at contractually? Where's your kind of contract at right now with the Crew? Did you have a couple of years left on your contract, or kind of what did you re-up after this last season? That you really had a breakout year. Kind of where are you at with all those things?
I'm still in my rookie deal. I'm in, my first option of my rookie deal, technically second option. And then I got another one after this, but it's one of those things where you reevaluate as it goes. And, I'm happy where I am. I don't need, I'm not knocking on the door for more money kind of thing.
No,
yet, I guess, but we'll see. No.
Well, I know that you're a fan favorite.
Yeah.
I know. I was going to say,
I just focus
on
the field, what you do on the field.
Yeah. Well, there's only so many things that you can control, right?
Everything else comes to us. Yeah, exactly.
Super funny. There's some buffering going on. Yeah, I mean, I know that you're a fan favorite. I mean, you scored 2 goals in the Hell is Real game, and you are definitely a cult hero, I think, in Columbus simply from that game alone. Tell us a little bit about going into this last winter break. I know you got a chance to kind of go abroad a little bit. I know you got to go to the UK and go to Spain, which is the country of your birth, and got to spend a little bit more. I know that this last year you spent a little bit more downtime abroad than the year you had before. What did you kind of need to just check out a little bit and kind of go abroad, or kind of what was the impetus to really just kind of get overseas a little bit for you?
I mean, definitely, obviously, good to go, see family and friends and this and that. And obviously, I didn't see my friends from college, Henry, as in 2 years, with COVID and everything. And obviously, you have to take time for yourself. Like I said, you're a human being first, and it was the off season. I quite enjoyed myself. We got to go see a ton of games live, and just we had a good time and enjoyed a little bit warmer weather than there was in Columbus, which it's always nice. I'm a warm weather guy for sure. But it's important to take care of yourself, and obviously family and friends have to come first. In those moments, because those are the people who really provide you with happiness. So I had a great time. Honestly, wish it could have stayed there longer, but COVID and everything makes everything a little bit tougher now. But
Sure.
It's all right, and I'm looking forward to the next trip already. So.
I bet you are. Tell me a little bit about some of the games you got to go see over there. What matches did you get to go see, and where?
Well, we saw Bournemouth Fulham at Craven Cottage, which is championship game, number 1 versus number 2 in Fulham's tiny old stadium, and it was a great time, great fun sitting in those tiny wooden seats. It's probably the best one. It was loud. I had a good time. It was the day I landed as well in England, so it was like a 36-hour day for me, but I still picked up, had good energy the whole time. So it was fun. It was a good game as well, and just the atmosphere was great to watch. So.
Yeah, absolutely. What about in Spain? Did you guys go see any games when you guys were visiting Spain?
No, the Barcelona played away when we were there, and then they played in Saudi Arabia as well. So it was or Morocco, or I think it was Saudi Arabia though. So we you know, we couldn't go see any games there. But we stayed in and watched at the in our room, and then and we went to bars and that, and where they have all the games on, and it was a good time.
Okay, fantastic. That's awesome, man. One of the things I was thinking of this season coming up for you, and I don't know how this works with players, especially in MLS, because it's not as big, quote unquote, as a global league as the other leagues. But I noticed that you don't have any soccer cards with tops or anything like that. So what does that process even look like? Can people who collect cards expect a Miguel Berry card this next year through tops, or how does that whole process work for players?
I think I do have a tops card. My aunt has sent me
You have one.
2 for my aunt.
Yeah, you have the tops now when you scored in the Hell Is Real game, which is there's one guy selling a copy of that on eBay for like $250, which I appreciate you, but the market is really high on that one. So I'm looking for the second Miguel Berry card that's out there in public. But what is that? How does that even work for a player or anything like that? And when can we expect a legitimate Miguel Berry card out there?
I couldn't tell you. I think it's a lack of respect that there wasn't one before, but that's how things work. I
Amen.
guess.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
People only pat you on the back when things are going well, right? Isn't that how it works? But I'm not too sure on that. But I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. And hopefully there's a couple of special editions this year. A couple more Hell Is Real goals would be ideal. So. Yeah,
I think that'd be awesome. I mean, listen, 800 minutes in MLS, 8 goals, 1 assist. I mean, I don't know what else people really want from you. I mean, I don't think that you
don't sell me short.
Was it 2 assists? Okay, all right, fair enough. No, I like it.
It was. Yeah.
Well, but thinking about that though is that you're not a secret in MLS anymore, right? You're not just hidden under a lamp anymore. And so going into like this next year, can you talk a little bit kind of like of what your goals are? I mean, your goals for yourself have to be beyond just goals and assists and things like that, but what are you kind of hoping and intending going into this next year to kind of put your stamp on the league that, you're not a guy who's going to bounce back between loan options to USL or anything like that, that you're here and you're here to stay? What conversations with the coaching staff have you had, anything like that? But can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, obviously it's competing every day. For me personally, I wanted to play in the playoffs. I was, very upset that I didn't get to, last year. It was because we felt our team was more than good enough. And, it would have been, time with injuries, it would have been me playing as well in those playoff games. And I would love to participate in that. And that's something that's still, I still have to knock off my list in my career. And that's really the ultimate goal. But for me, I don't really have overarching targets for a season. I tend not to look that far ahead. For me, it's just scoring and trying to score in every game I play. That's just the way my MO, and it's I think Caleb mentioned in press conference that he wants me to compete with Gyasi, but for me it's never really competing. He's a great player, and I think we both just push each other to make it better. So whether we play together, whatever happens, or he plays and I come in, or I play and he comes in, or whatever, because there's so many games in the season, you never know what's going to happen. You just always have to be ready, and that's what I learned last year, and take advantage of your opportunities. Because I'm very aware that I probably had one chance last year, and if I didn't score in that first game that I played in, I probably wouldn't have played the rest of the season. That's just how it works, right. At this level, right. And good, bad, or indifferent, that's just how it works. And especially someone like me, I think I need to showcase what I can do playing, and training's great, but a game is a game, and there's people who can play in games, there's people who can't. I'd like to think I can. So
I'm a big believer that you can as well. No, I think it's good because Gyasi is a fantastic player and a fantastic striker in his own right, and he has done a lot at Crew. And even thinking about your first year with the team, anyways, you guys win MLS Cup, right? And wanting to, I'm sure you wanted to be more of a contributor, but even just being in that environment, maybe you could talk a little bit about that. What was that like, kind of being in the environment, first year MLS Cup, versus, year 2, not even making the playoffs? Going into the off season, did you feel did you feel like you're running at like a deficit going from the not making the playoffs? Is there a little bit more motivation now to kind of prove, the naysayers you're wrong, to get the season off on the right foot? Kind of what's the difference in the mindset there for you?
I think people are going to come back with a little bit more of an edge. Not to say we didn't have one. I think we got crushed by injuries and things just seem to go wrong for us, at every turn. And that happens, it goes from bad to worse very, very quickly. But it was one of those situations last year where, we'd play a game and, we'd somehow lose or tie, and the team would be like, wow, you guys are way better than us. We don't know how we got this result. And it would happen consistently. But, of course you have to get results to
Right.
prove your worth. And I think, this year we're more than confident in our team and our squad and what we have going forward. And I know they're still probably signing players and this and that to compete. And, I don't think there's a doubt in our mind that we can compete in everything. So, I think also last year goes without saying that, the champion or playing in, Champions League early in the season, having games, Tuesday and then Saturday, and you're flying there and Nicaragua and Mexico. It's very difficult, and it's a hard way to start the year. And I think just we're take one game at a time this next year, and hopefully show who the Crew are again.
Right, and along with that too, I mean, I as I understand it, I think the U.S. Open Cup is back on this year as well, correct? And so there's a whole nother. There's a whole nother kind of opportunity as far as for games, minutes and things like that, rotation to kind of happen where, if you're not able to get into the game on Saturday or Sunday, there might be a great opportunity for you to get some minutes and keep your fitness up and keep your game level, high and things like that too, which will be really great. Also, having the addition of Aiden Morris back on the field for you guys, I think is going to be, it was a heartbreaking injury for him last season, because last year was supposed to be such a massive breakout year for him, I think, in his career. And so I think that's going to be a massive bolster to your guys' lineup going into this next year. You live with a couple guys who you've lived with for quite a while, who have been involved in the academy. One of those guys' dad happens to have one of the most important jobs in the country. And as you know, and as you see, somebody here who has a huge vested interest in seeing the national team program go. Has there been any conversation with you and anybody at the national team as well as possibly getting a call up in the future? Or has there been any conversation along those lines, or, hey, we're keeping our eye on you, or anything along those lines for you?
I know those guys watch pretty much every single game of soccer in the world simultaneously. I don't know how they do it. So, I'm sure they watched, and, for me, that's always an end goal. For me, that's incredible. Obviously, this year being a World Cup year, it'd be a tremendous honor. But at this point, like I said, it's taking it one game at a time. It's obviously difficult. I'm in a difficult position. I'm not in, I'm not at a club necessarily that is looking to play, young talent. When you have the national team striker now, it's tough to. You have to earn every single minute you get. So that's all I'm trying to do. And obviously I'm so lucky I get to learn from Gyasi, who's unbelievable. I think probably one of the most underrated players. Well, probably the most underrated player in the national team pool. Most disrespected. I'm not entirely sure how. I think people, they like to target him, but I don't think they really understand what he does. So it's frustrating for me as a fan and as someone, who knows him and we call him a friend. So it's frustrating, but, just have to, tell myself I know better and try not to participate, because there's so many times I want to reply to people on Twitter, but I know I can't.
Oh yeah. I hear you on that. He seems, my impression of Gyasi is seems like a very, very solid dude on and off the field. He seems like a guy that is just a clubhouse guy where anybody can come up to him at any point in time and he's going to put his arm around him and care about him. He seems like such a loving, diehard guy that the level of vitriol that dude receives is just completely unwarranted. The fan base is insufferable. Like, I do I know that you see every now and then I kind of get flamed out and I start getting hacked at people, but the fan base is absolutely insufferable and unkind. And Gyasi for some reason is, and, guys like Gyasi and Paul Areola for some reason just seem like the butt of everybody's, frustration that, we're not France, or we're not Germany or this other stuff. And it's really unfair because these guys have been such great torchbearers for so long and have carried the program and cared about the program, where everybody was turning their back or not going to games or just being pissed. So again, not to put you on the spot as far as like the national team spotlight, and granted, again, there's only so much that you can do. I was just kind of curious if that's ever, in the back of your mind, of wanting to represent your country and kind of what, you see that as also one of those avenues that as you are more successful, more doors get opened, which is great. You talked a little bit even in the earlier in the conversation about agents that wanted to take you abroad. Can you talk a little bit about that decision right there to see going abroad as an opportunity, or actually seeing the MLS and even just the structure we have in the States? Can you kind of talk a little bit about what that decision was like for you to kind of decide what was really best for your playing career? Because obviously you had options to do both because you've got a European passport.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's finding where you can match your value as a player, both as a player at a level, as well as, there's so many different things financially, your family, this and that come into play. And I think, like you just said, I think for me, my goal as a player is to maximize your choices. That's everything, you can do. So the more choices you have, the more likely you are to make a better choice, I think, or make a choice that's better for you per se, if it's not in your hands. I think for me, I knew coming out of college, especially the way college is seen, I think worldwide, that probably domestically would be my best chance to really make a name for myself to start a career. But you never know where your career is going to take you, and I think it's just maximizing opportunity and seeing where it can take you, because you never know.
Do you feel that there's a kind of an itch to prove yourself abroad? Like, do you feel that your career is less if you end up just being quote unquote like a really good solid domestic player? You have a nice long career. And do you feel that you're selling your career short, or do you look at that as like, no, this is where I am, this is where I'm happy, this is where I've got roots and I'm growing? Because there's this mentality out there that unless you go to Europe, you haven't really challenged yourself. But as you're finding, there's a lot of challenges domestically still to MLS is growing as a league in its competitiveness, and where people used to just walk in here and waltz all over everybody, it's not really the case anymore.
Yeah, and I think within the league, there's a lot less of that. Oh, you're not really a real player until you go abroad now than there was probably 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I think now people are realizing, holy crap, this is the real deal. This is, and I think it's growing. I said in another interview, in 5 years, I think it's going to be definitely top 6 big league in the world. Right now, I don't know where the championship is. I don't know where it is now, but I think it'll be a lot closer in distance. And I think, you look at players who've come here in the last couple of years, they thought it'd be easy. And, it was easy for them. And I think most of those guys realize how really to be part of that growth is incredible. To be pushing the level forward is an honor. And I've got 33 or 34-year-old teammates who've been in the league their whole career, and to see what they've done, where they started, and where they brought it now, it's incredible. And as a current player, eternally grateful to those guys. Guys like that around my club, Dante Washington, who works in the front office now, who tells me a story about making $12,500 a year his rookie year. To where guys that sign these huge deals now, it's incredible, and we owe those guys everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's thinking about for yourself, thinking about as you were coming out of the academy here at San Diego Surf and going into college, thinking about where the MLS game was, or even the academy, where academies were in the country at that point in time, to where they even are today. Especially with where the league is at and developing and establishing younger talent. It kind of just seems that, you are at the right place at the right time, and these are great opportunities. And it's just really wonderful to see you kind of seizing it with humility, but also to know that, man, it can be taken away pretty fast, as you've even noticed from, being roommates with Aiden, right? One injury, one game, and then, you're out for the next 11 months. And I'm sure you guys have been able to hang out, have lots of conversations, and kind of walk through some of the frustrations there. How do you feel that, with the app and everything that we're trying to build at SoccerGeeks and what we're trying to do, we're really trying to take a focus on development. Do you feel, looking back, that there were tools that you wish you had as you were, growing and playing club soccer and things like that, or even when you were playing in college? Do you feel that there were tools that you had that would help you have the same experience that you had this offseason when you went back and watched every game, and you kind of were able to analyze your movements and where you found success and where you needed to grow on the field? What kind of tools, looking back, do you wish you had sooner that you feel have really helped you mature as a player, both on and off the field?
I think for me, obviously film is great, and now they have all these, Instat does it, and they have all these different programs that take your performance, and they're not 100% perfect, but they're pretty accurate in terms of dribbles, duels, aerial duels, passes completed, this and that. And I think some of those stats, I think if you need to look at more carefully than others, because obviously you can't understand a game just by statistics always. I think there's that's the beauty of soccer. It's one of those very interpretive games, and I think looking back, I think those kind of things would have really helped me back in the day. So I could see, I'm losing. I only won 27% of aerial duels this game. I could get that up over 50. And then you watch the aerial duels specifically and this and that. And I think that kind of thing, is incredible. And I think if you look at, my dribbles here or dribbles there, passes, long passes. And I think that kind of stuff's incredible. And it's helpful now even, but I can't imagine college, having, if I would have had that, and obviously, like you mentioned, academy. I think, I don't even know if that stuff existed in academy, but it's incredible to see how far it's come. But that stuff would have been incredible to have.
What stat for you kind of, stands out as one that you kind of key in on, like for yourself, or even as you're looking at other players, like that you have to go up against, or things like that? What are kind of some of the stats that you look at that help you kind of analyze that progress or that development best?
For me, it's a couple things. When I look at other teams, really, when I look at other center backs, I mainly focus on aerial duels, because I think that gives you a pretty good idea how they play. If you look at just stats, for me in particular, I look at a lot of our running data. So how much work I'm doing on the field, and high metabolic load and this and that, and sprint distance and this and that. And that tells me, how it could tell, because every game's different. Some days you run a lot more than others. But that I like to look, if you give myself a good idea of work, because obviously if you put in the work, the rest will come. And I think that for me, that's what I learned from Gyasi, at least, that's one of the things that where, you work hard and everything else comes, everything else will fall into place. So those are the stuff that I look at, because, a lot of the other stuff is valuable, but you have to take with a grain of salt, because every game is different, and not every game you're going to get, 50 passes to your feet. I played games this season where I had 13 touches the whole game. So
right,
it's just difficult, but that's how it is.
Right. If you were to talk to younger players, boys or girls right now, that are, playing club soccer and kind of want to take their game to kind of the next level, and are looking to really hone in and focus on their development, what would be some key areas that you would tell youth players right now? Like, hey, if you focus on these kind of simple things, you're gonna be able to get the best kind of out of yourself, without it just being goals and assists and, hey, run more or run faster. What's like your best bits of advice with everything that you've learned and everything that you kind of settle into? What are some of the places that you really want to encourage kind of the next generation of players coming up?
I always say, soccer is a game of decisions. And the better you are technically, the more decisions you have available to you. So if you can do everything 2 times quicker than you can do it now, you'll give yourself much more time and many more options on the field to do it. But that's not, I mean, doing everything quick isn't always the best thing. I think for me, doing everything as quick as you can, or doing everything quicker than you do now, goes hand in hand with understanding when to go fast, when to go slow, and understanding the tempo of the game. And I think those two things are things that I think, you know, young players need to be able to maximize more so than, you know, than other things to focus on. Because I think being able to do everything quicker than you do now, that's the key to, you know, moving up a level. Because the rest will come. Physically will come. You know, if you put in the work physically, that'll come. Goals, assists come with all that. But if you can be quicker on the ball, but also understand the game more so, whether that's watching, whether that's playing more games, I think that's the key.
Yeah. And we talked to, you and I have had conversations in the past where, you felt that from a physical, I mean, you're a physical specimen now. I mean, you're what? You're 6'4", 210, 205. What are you? What's your stats now?
I'm 6'3", 182 to 186 around there.
Oh my. All right. Fair enough. All right. Well, so you're a physical specimen of a human being, but you weren't always that big. Like you've talked about in the past where you were kind of a late bloomer, physically. Mm-hmm. And so, looking at opportunities that you had or things like that, and just from a physical maturing standpoint. And I think that for the audience, people need to kind of also understand that too. It's not like you were 14 years old with the same frame you have right now. You kind of grew into your frame, and then it took some time to fill it out. And then you also had to still hone and working on your skills. And at the end of the day, I think players can really only operate in the body that they've been given. There's guys who right. Players come in all shapes and sizes. I mean, they really do. I mean, we look at a guy like Adama Traore, you know what I mean? There's only a couple guys in the world that are kind of built and fit like that, but not every player is like that. Right. And so, so let me ask you a question. Who is your favorite in the MLS? Who's your favorite? Gosh, this might get you in trouble. Who's your favorite center back pairing to go up against? Like who just kind of gets you out of bed and you're like, yeah, we got business to do today. Let's go.
I don't know about pairing to go up against. I think, the game that I found where I had the most space and freedom was actually DC United away. I think they played a back three. I think they had some guys out. And it was the first game where I felt like going into it, we knew we had something there. And we went 1-0 down actually in the second minute. Paul Arriola, of all people, put one of the unbelievable goal in the top corner. But we knew we had something the whole game. We just had to stay patient. And all of a sudden spaces started opening up everywhere. And I think, I think they play very, very brave. So I think for me, that was the game looking back this season. I don't know if there's a specific pairing, but I just love playing against the best. So, I think NYCFC had great center backs, and obviously they won the league. So that's probably a key to that. But
Nashville matchup will probably be pretty fun this year, right? Yeah.
Nashville. It's obviously tough. Walker Zimmerman is a heck of a player. He's an unbelievable athlete, smart player, good on the ball. So he was probably the hardest one I played against all season. So.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, then the award sounds like it's well earned for his part. Who did you feel this last season? Who was the best at talking trash? Like who wins the Silver Tongue Award for Miguel Berry for this last year?
Now I can only talk about people on our team because I don't really get involved. And I'll tell you, Derek Jr. easily wins that category. I think he'll take first, second, and third in that. First, second, third. Yeah. Oh, my computer's dying. I'll plug it in real quick. You can cut this. And then, sorry, I'm at 4%.
No, it's all good.
I don't want to cut out on you there.
Oh my gosh. No worries. Yeah.
No, we're good to go.
Okay. Nice save there, Miguel. Nice save. The final minute of the game, you came in. I love it. Yeah, man. Hey, I want to say thanks again. Thanks again for coming on the show. Thanks for being so candid about your experience. We really hope that for our audience, not only do they connect with some of the great things that you have to share, but they also continue to follow your progress in your career. And as always, I'm going to be here with my pom-poms out cheering you week in and week out, buddy. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so thankful to know you and to see your progress. And I can't wait for all the wonderful things this next season has in store for you. So thanks for being a guest on the show, man. You're welcome anytime.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Jason. Anytime you want. I think I've known you 5 years now. I think since I was 19, maybe. So it's mean it's been a long ride. We've known each other a while, so it's incredible. And obviously you're doing great things, and I hope everything you guys do with this app. I think I hope it helps young players. It's incredible to see, like you said, how much the game's grown, and I hope these kids can keep pushing it forward. So it's great.
We'll keep after it, man. Have the best of seasons this year with Columbus. We'll be cheering you on all the way.
Yeah, I'll do my best. Thank you.
I know you will. Catch you later, buddy. Thanks.